Can we have the camera? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the council meeting for December. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have yeah, we have. Okay. I didn't see him back there.
Council, Mayor, Attorney. My name is Pastor Salazar, Heart to Heart Ministry. I ask everybody bow their heads, please, as we open in prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord Jesus, Father God, Lord, we love you, Lord, and we praise you, Lord. And Father, today we stand here united in the council chambers of Lincoln Park. Father God, we come to you, thanking you for all the blessings that you bring upon this city, to everyone here. We thank you, Lord, for the service men and women, the veterans who served, and the people that are serving still today for our freedom, Father God. Lord God, we thank you for our new mayor who's here, Lord, and we ask that you be present with the mayor, to let him feel you, Lord, as he leans on you for guidance and to lead in our city. Father God, we pray for everybody in Lincoln Park, all the residents, Father God, the first responders, the police, the firemen, EMS workers, everybody out there for the people of Lincoln Park. Father God, we just want to give thanks, and we ask for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen.
Okay, I'm going to break with the agenda for a few minutes because, okay, we'll do roll call.
Councilpersons Bear,
Yes.
Dupre, here. Ross, here. Salcido,
Here.
Zor,
Here.
Tobin, here. And Mayor Higgins.
Thank you. Yes, here. I'm going to, like I started to say, we are going to break with the agenda for a minute because we did have a water main that affected quite a few people this weekend. So I've asked the city manager to explain what happened this weekend and just give us a little update.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So, and also as backup, we've got our DPS director, John Kazoo, and our S1 water operator, Steve Swerf, out there. Friday morning, DPS responded to a call of a water main break in the area of Lafayette and Mill. We understand that there was, underneath Lafayette, there is one of the three main water transmission, we'll call them transmission lines that feed the city. We got three major ones, one on Dix, one on Lafayette, and one on Ford Street. As we got into it, this was a severe water main break. The water main itself that was broken was actually an 8-inch line that was being fed by the 24-inch. Attempting to get shutoffs on that. Ended up having to shut down that 24-inch south of Champaign, which ended up causing water outage, low pressure throughout a good portion of the city. They kept chasing the water break throughout the day Friday, unable to repair it. They were able to get back at it Saturday. The crews worked diligently. They were able to identify, at that point, there were 3 different breaks on this 8-inch line that they were able to repair. As they re-energized the line, everything looked fine. As they started to backfill the hole, they noticed some water seeping up, indicating another break. That break, they were actually able to repair fairly quickly when they got at it Sunday. However, they noticed another break on a gate valve in the area, which is why there was an additional outage on Sunday. All in all, the crew worked tirelessly, working with Great Lakes Water Authority, working with Great Lakes Water Authority's contractor as well. The team worked exceptionally well together, putting their heads together to figure out what was going on, how to address it, and we tried to keep the public informed as best we could throughout the time. I know how frustrating it can be to be without water. I've had that as well. And it can be very frustrating not knowing when it's going to come back on. But unfortunately, sometimes you can't give estimates on these things because things happen, right? We re-energize a line and it breaks somewhere else. This is the problem with our old infrastructure. And unfortunately, we had a really good example of why we need to be really focused on making serious upgrades over the next few years.
And online, several people were saying that we need to come up with a plan. So I want the citizens to know we have had meetings. We do have a plan going forward. And if there's any questions about what's going on, feel free to call up to City Hall and ask questions. Okay, moving on. There are several things I'd like to hit on the mayor's report tonight, but first, I've asked the city clerk. There was a gentleman who asked a lot of questions last week, and I think it needed a response, so I asked her to put one together. So, Carrie, could you do that for me?
I sure will. So, there's recently been some misinformation concerning the use of Sharpie pens at the voting precincts. I'd like to take a minute to clear up those misconceptions. Voting instructions that are required by the state instruct you to use black or blue ink pens. That does not limit you to a specific type of pen. You can use ballpoint pens, roller pens, fountain pens, dip pens, or felt tip marking pens. Gel pens are not recommended because the ink takes quite a while to dry. Merriam-Webster defines ink as a colored, usually liquid material for writing and printing. There are a lot of different types of ink. Ink from pens, printer ink, edible ink, adhesive ink, fluorescent ink are some examples. Some of them are oil-based, some of them are water-based, but they're all inks. Sharpie markers and other types of marking pens do contain some form of ink. It's important to understand that our tabulators do not detect a chemical composition. They cannot tell the difference between a water base or an oil-based ink or a ballpoint pen, a roller ball, a fountain pen, or a magic marker. The tabulators are optical scanners. They read a mark of a certain size and density. That's why the instructions tell you to use black or blue ink, because those colors contain enough pigment to easily meet the density requirements. Other colors like red and green may not be dense enough for the tabulator to read them properly. The tabulators are programmed only to read marks inside the target ovals. Stray marks in other areas do not affect the tabulator's ability to correctly record your votes. This includes any bleed-through that can occur from a marker or a pen of any type. While it may not be pretty on the other side of the paper, it doesn't affect the target area. Ballots in Michigan are purposely produced with the front and back ovals offset, so that if something bleeds through on the front, it doesn't mark in the oval on the back. And that is the only area that the tabulator is programmed to read. These tabulators are all thoroughly tested prior to each and every election to be sure that they correctly read ballots using multiple types of writing instruments, just like what could happen on an election day. There's a public accuracy test that's performed before every election where the public is invited to witness the testing procedure. In the 20 years that I've been associated with the clerk's office in this city, we have probably performed 50 public accuracy tests. I have had exactly one member of the public actually come to witness those public accuracy tests. The public is welcome to come to them, encouraged to come to them. I'm asking you to please come to them. We put the test is done approximately 10 days before each election. It's always posted publicly in City Hall as well as on the city's website. If you have concerns about the operation of a tabulator, please come and watch this test. It's very important. It proves to you that these tabulators do in fact read the ballots correctly and tabulate the correct number of votes each and every time. In conclusion, Sharpie marker pens are not only acceptable for use in ballot marking, but are recommended for several reasons. They're very quick drying. They do not allow any smearing or smudging on the tabulator when the ballots are fed through. It doesn't allow any buildup that could cause damage to the tabulators. Even though the pens cost a little bit more than a ballpoint pen, further on down the line, it does avoid some maintenance issues and cost for maintenance that could be considerably higher than the cost of a Sharpie marker. That well offsets it. They provide a dark, clear, and easily read mark for the tabulator to detect, and the mark is permanent and cannot be erased. So it always can, when we go back to recount the votes, we always know that nobody changed those votes because they were done in a Sharpie marker that is not erasable. So,
And at one other point, where did you get those Sharpie markers from?
actually, these Sharpie markers were purchased with a grant from the state of Michigan. So, the state paid for them.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, we have a mayor's appointment to the Police Safety Commission. Joel Solomon, I believe you're here, and I'd like to know that you are reappointed, if you would come forward. That's paperwork for you. And also, this gentleman has been involved in Lincoln Park many years and does many, many things with Lincoln Park. And so at this time, I would also like to award him the key of the city.
You raise your right hand, please. Do you, Joel Solomon, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of Public Safety Commissioner to the best of your ability by saying I do?
I do.
If you would sign right there above your name, that will make it official. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you.
This is the first official act.
Good thing it was in the Slovak.
Thank you.
Try to keep your flag in place.
Congratulations.
Now, we also have the chairman of the CIC Commission here. They have been working on the decorating contest for the holidays, and he has some announcements to make.
Yes, thank you. We went around, looked for some of the mini houses that are decorated very nicely for the holidays. We posted them on our Facebook page, Lincoln Park Community Improvement Commission. We had people vote, and we're going to have an ornament award for the top 4. So I'm going to start with 4th place, and that is 355 Shore Drive. 3rd place, 1579 Moran. 2nd place, 1697 Richmond, and 1st place is 1585 Pingree, which I've been informed they have won before. They have quite a display over there. They're on a corner lot, and it wraps all the way around, and they have music. It's quite a sight to see.
That is amazing.
It's nice there, yeah.
It is. If you drive slow, it's like going through the Wayne County Light Fest almost, because you turn that corner there. So, but we appreciate all the people that decorate their houses in our city, and it seems like I think we're seeing like a little more of it. And I always find it interesting that one house on a block starts putting a little more work into decorating, and then you notice a house a couple down, they put a little more up, and it kind of reaches a critical mass where everybody wants to outdo each other, I guess, but it's a good thing. So, appreciate it. And, yeah, we'll be delivering those ornaments to them.
Thank you very much,
Oh, thank you.
and congratulations to the winners. Okay, I'd also like to welcome to Lincoln Park. We have a new business, Moses Roses, I'm sorry, at 1005 Papalis Drive, and welcome to Lincoln Park. I also, at this time, would like to talk a little bit serious. Lincoln Park has been a community for 100 years, and what has made our strong city all these years is our community and volunteerism and people helping the city. we have openings on quite a few commissions, and the commissions are, for the most part, meet once a month, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and they feed back to the council, give us advice. We have a lot of openings, so I'm going to just let people know, we really need some help. Community Improvement, who just gave those awards, they need 2 people. The Compensation Commission needs a person. The Housing Commission needs 2 people. The Parks and Rec need 2 people. The Planning Commission needs 3 people. The commissions are the backbone of the city, and if you can spare an hour of a month, please contact the city. You can find it on our webpage. Thank you. I also, at this time, I've kind of made it a tradition on the council, and I'm going to keep doing it as the mayor. I should have done it last meeting, and it slipped my thought. But if we want to keep businesses in Lincoln Park, we have to shop in Lincoln Park. And this is the Christmas season, and let's face it, it's the shopping season. And if you want to think about it, there are a lot of Christmas presents you can buy right here in our city. We have dress shops, we have antique shops, we have candy stores, we have knife shops, we have tire shops, we have appliance shops, we have Detroit Salsa, which sells a lot of special Michigan things. We have several restaurants that have coupons, have gift cards, and a very special place you can buy stuff at the museum. They have a lot of good stuff there too. If we want to keep our businesses, we have to shop there. And that's all I've got to say about that. And now we'll move on to the meeting. First up is we have a public hearing. So I will call the public hearing to order for reprogramming the CDBG funds. And then I'll introduce Joan Craig, our CDBG coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. We're here tonight to talk about reallocating our Round 3 funding from our CARES Act, CDBG COVID relief funds in the amount of $178,712. Originally, in July of '21, it was, resolution was passed for that money to be allocated to broadband within the city of Lincoln Park. In doing our research to spend that funding, we found that there is not a need for broadband infrastructure within the city. All of the fiber optic lines are already wired through the city, so because of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Because the funding can only be used on infrastructure for broadband and not paying for broadband service, there's not a need for us to spend the $178,712 on broadband. So we started meeting with other department heads and James to figure out what would be the most meaningful, best way to reallocate this funding. And what we found was in our 5-year consolidated plan, we have a high priority for removal of architectural barriers for ADA compliance. So here at City Hall, we are not truly handicap accessible. So we'd like to allocate part of the funding to creating, making City Hall handicap accessible with a concrete ramp from the parking lot to the front door, expanding the front door platform for a wheelchair to be able to turn around on, and having a double set of touchless automatic doors for people to enter and exit, and then also making the exit door handicap accessible as well, and by making that a touch-free automatic door. And also upgrading our elevator to make that touchless as well. That project would be something that would be an eligible expense under our COVID funding. It ties back to preventing the spread of COVID-19. So that's one very meaningful use of the funding. And then also the other use that we identified was making upgrades to our senior center. The windows within that structure currently do not open, so being able to open those would actually be another way that we would be able to help make that building more COVID-friendly with all of the, I'm trying to think of the word, I'm sorry, making it more
Ventilation?
thank you, ventilation for the building. We have identified about roughly $90,518 would be needed to complete the project here at City Hall, and $88,193 would be needed for the projects at the senior center. We also feel that if we do go ahead with making these, deciding that we reallocate the funds to these two projects, we'll be able to meet our benchmarks for spending the money. With the COVID funding through CDBG, we do have to meet an 80% drawdown by June 10th of 2023. We are close. We're about $100,000 away from being able to meet that 80% threshold. And if these two projects were to be approved, we feel very confident that we'd be able to meet that 80% funding drawdown by June 10th. Anybody have any questions?
Question to the chair.
Discussions, Councilman?
First of all, these two projects seem very worthy to me for the funding. And in the packet for the senior center, it did reference the mental health burdens that COVID has placed on not just seniors, but obviously so many people. And as far as the ADA part of it, I mean, it's easy for me and probably most people to imagine what it takes to help a building become more ADA compliant, but I'm not so sure like what goes into like the mental health program.
So the hope was that if in making the modifications to the senior center, if that did not take up all of the $88,000 that we have left in that funding, that we would be able to allocate that towards programming to address, loneliness and any other any other mental illness issue that
Symptoms
people are dealing with since COVID. There's been, isolation's been a big thing for seniors within the community, as well as many other things have taken hold that we all have been aware of over the past couple of years, so. But we do feel that in making these modifications to the building, that may make people feel more comfortable to come to whatever programming we do have at the building. Currently, there's been a significant drop in how many people actually attend the different programming that we have, much of which is due to fear from the pandemic and catching COVID. So we do feel that would help.
Anything else from the council?
The chair, what modifications, I thought I heard you say windows and ADA compliance. Is there anything else you're looking at?
For the building, I don't have I do not have a scope of work nailed down yet. I've been working with Dennis to identify what things need to be updated and modified over there, but I don't have a specific scope of work that is all-encompassing of the entire project.
This would all be just directed right at the senior center, not the whole building at the KMG, just the senior center?
Right, so the ADA modifications would be directed here at City Hall.
Okay,
So the initial $90,518 would be specifically for modifying this building to make it accessible for all residents of Lincoln Park. At the senior center, the initial modification to the building is none of the windows within the senior center open currently. So that's for ventilation and the COVID tieback. That would be the piece that we would focus on first. And as we all know, windows have exponentially increased in cost. So to really, without having a clear scope of work and the approval to go to bid, I wouldn't begin to guess how much it would cost to do the windows. I would hope that the $88,000 would be enough to cover the windows.
Okay, so that's the senior center and the rec? Or just the senior center?
Just the senior center.
And how many windows are in the senior center that don't open currently?
Every window in that building does not open. So there are 13, I believe, 13 total windows in various sizes. None of them are the same size. They're all, I think there's 2 that are the same, and then the rest of them are all different sizes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the council? I do want to say that, making this building handicap accessible, along with what the windows started being put in today, and we're buying the new generator, we're going to be here for a while, so that, we should open it up to anybody who can get here. Anybody have any comments from the public? Going once? Going twice? You had your chance. Okay. I adjourn the public hearing, and we're back to the council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Resolve the following items listed under the consent agenda be approved and presented as presented to the mayor and council. Approved the minutes of the regular meeting, December 5th, 2022. Schedule a hearing for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Attend training for Parks and Rec. Approve the Smart Bus contract. Appointment to P&F Pension Board, Councilman Tobin. Appointment to the ZBA, Councilman Ross. And appointment to the Planning Commission to Councilwoman Dupre. And accept the forestry grant.
I'll move.
Support.
Call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross? Yes. Tobin?
Yes.
Dare?
Yes.
Dupre? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Congratulations, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, okay, we're going to, at the next, resolve that the establishment of the liaison positions. Resolved that the pursuant and the previously established liaison position, that council members all shall serve in the following liaison positions, and the term expires on November 25th, 2024. There's a list here. The departments, there'll be the fire department, the police, EPS, the CPD, the building department, the finance department, and the assessing department. And the commissions will go with them. We'll go down the road according to the vote, and people will pick. I'd like to, do we have a mover?
I'll move.
I'll support.
Okay. Before we get into this, I do like to remind everybody, and everybody at home, and especially the new council people, as a liaison to the commissions, you are not a voting member. You are there to represent the city council, and you are there to represent the city. And if any way you can help the commission, sometimes they will ask you to find out some information for them. You can come back to the city manager, come back to the city, wherever you can need to get the information from, bring it back to them. And I'm also asking as a mayor, that if you have a commission, to please come forward and report on what's going on at the commission so the people at home know what's going on. Because we do get, the reports, but sometimes there's more going on. And there's, particularly, if you take Parks and Rec, for example, there's always something going on that they would like the public to know about. The same thing as the CIC and others. But all the groups have something that is good to talk about. And the more we know, the more we're better off. So, starting wrong, excuse me. I'm going to take the DDA and the CBDG. Okay, next we'll go to the council president.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would like to pass, and whatever is left over, I will gladly assume. If
Okay,
that's okay with my colleagues.
that is your choice.
Thank you.
Okay, and that'll bring us to Councilwoman Maureen?
No.
True. I'm sorry, Councilman Dupree.
Okay, so you want me to choose under the department or under the board and commission?
Whatever department you get those commissions.
Oh, okay.
They're all linked together. And so people at home know we did that so that
Commissions or liaisons.
they're
Not commissions, liaisons.
It's on the, it's a liaison for those.
you liaison to the commission. It's related, and that way it all works together.
Okay, well, since I'm on planning, it would make sense if I had the building department.
Okay. Now, Maureen.
Well, I'm on the Police and Fire Commission, so I should take the Public Safety Commission.
Okay, so you're taking the police and fire?
That's what it says.
Okay. So now we go on to Councilwoman Ross.
I think I'm going to stick with the finance department.
Okay. That will bring us to Councilman Bear.
DPS department?
Okay. So, Councilman Zor.
Personally, I'd like assessing.
Okay. So, Council President, I believe that leaves you with Parks and Rec again, which is where you were, so. Congratulations, and we look forward to your reports. The next thing on the agenda, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to recap that so that we're sure that everybody
Yeah,
has
go ahead,
it right?
why don't you do
Okay.
that?
So it'll be Councilwoman Tobin with the Police and Fire Department and the Public Safety Commission, Council President Salcedo with the Parks and Rec Department and the Parks and Rec Commission, Councilman Bear with the Department of Public Services and the Library Board, Mayor Higgins with the Community Planning and Development Department, with the EDC, DDA, and CIC commissions, and Councilwoman Dupre with the Building Department and the Dangerous Building Board, ZBA, and Planning Commission. Councilwoman Ross will have the Finance Department with the Housing and Historical Commissions, and Councilman Zor will have Assessing and the Lake Park Board of Education.
Now can I call for the vote?
Okay. Councilpersons Tobin,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Zor,
Yes.
and Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Okay, and the next thing on the agenda is the award to contract for lead-based paint and asbestos risk assessment provider. We had 4 different bidders, but the bidding is, it's up and down with several different things they were bidding on. So I'm just going to list who the bidding was. The ETC, MG Environmental, Metropolitan Environmental. Okay. Whereas the city opened bids for lead-based paint and asbestos risk assessment provided on November 30th, 2022, and the Metropolitan Environmental LLC was the low bidder, meeting all requirements. Be it resolved that the Metropolitan Environmental LLC be awarded the contract for lead-based paint and asbestos risk assessment. Funds to be come from the residential rehab program. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk will authorize the sign and contract documents.
Support.
Do we have anybody who want to, any questions?
Through the chair, this was last awarded 3 years ago. Who was awarded that contract? Who was it?
Was that Greenco?
Yep, they didn't bid this time.
No, they didn't.
Okay, thank you.
They discontinued doing their asbestos.
Okay.
For those who couldn't hear, the company that was doing this doesn't do it anymore. So we moved on.
Thank you.
They're out of business. Okay, any other questions? Now I'll call for the vote.
Councilpersons Dupre,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
Zor,
Yes.
and Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Order just. Next, the approval substantial amendment to the 2019 CARES Act Round 3 funding allocation, which of $178,712. The background is July 19, 2021, the city appointed, and a resolution number 2021-214 allocating $178,712 from the
CDBG.
yeah, 2019 COVID CARES Act Round 3 funding for a broadband infrastructure and services. As we found earlier tonight, we can't use it for that because so we are going to move it on to something else. So resolved that the resolution on 2021-241 be amended to reflect the budget below and adopted after a 5-day public comment period, during which time any public comments will be incorporated into the substantial amendment. The ADA improvements for City Hall, $90,518.80. And the Senior Center Building Services, $88,193.20.
I'll move.
I'll support.
Anyone have anything to ask? Any council members? Hearing nothing, I call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Our next agenda item is the hotel on Papolis is requesting a liquor license. So resolved that the application of Leo Capital BW Delaware LLC for a Class C on-premise liquor license with Sunday AM and PM sales permit to be located at 1805 John A. Papolis Drive, to be recommended and approved by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
I'll move for discussion.
I'll support it.
Okay, since Lillian asked for discussion, we'll let her go first.
Other than the hotel per se, what else is in there? Is there a restaurant? Is there,
If I may, because I've given a couple of tours now, they do have a swimming pool, they do have a bar, but since they don't have a liquor license, they don't serve liquor at this point. They do not have a restaurant, but they do have a meeting room, which they could use for, parties if they could have a liquor license. They don't have a kitchen, so they're not going to be serving food at this time. But I will say that this hotel has been done very well, up and down, top to line, everything. They have several suites with the jacuzzis. So it is a very good hotel, not a motel or something the way of other places in the city, I'll put that.
okay, well, my only other comment would be is to thank the police chief for his letter, and it is part of the official record, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Through the chair, are you done, Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Rooms start from $120, they go all the way up to $250 a night to stay there. They do have a pool, as you mentioned, jacuzzi suites. They have one big banquet room that you can make it into two. Yes, I believe on the third floor they have a little lounge. It was intended so they could serve alcohol. They never got their liquor license, so they're asking for it now. I don't know what the delay was, but as Mayor indicated, it's a beautiful building. It's right off the expressway. I can sympathize with someone traveling, driving, getting to the hotel room and having a beverage. It's right there. I do respect the police officer's letter denouncing that they get their liquor license because of issues that they've had in the past, but this is a business that I believe that, with the instance that they had, them selling alcohol in the building isn't going to deter anything. If anything, it could help, in my opinion. So I just want to let you know that. So rooms start at 120, all the way to 220 and 250, and it is a nice establishment. So that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say that I spoke with the chief earlier today, and we have had frequently runs to the hotel, but it's always been with the clientele, not with the hotel itself, and not with management or part of them. So I wanted to clear that because there was some question about it earlier.
To the chair, I have a concern that, serving just alcohol and not being able to purchase any kind of food, to me, it's kind of dangerous that you're going to be drinking and you can't actually buy anything to eat to absorb that alcohol. I think that's something that needs to be looked at, whether, the they don't have any kind of food license at all to sell anything. But normally, I mean, how many places do you go where you just get, alcohol and nothing to eat? And if they're going to do banquet style stuff, are they going to be using caterers? And have they looked into using a caterer's license?
It is my understanding that if you hold an event there, they can get catering. I do not know who does their catering, but it's my understanding that they can get catering for their meeting room, as they called it.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Chair. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
so one final comment, they do offer continental breakfast in the morning, just so you know. It's not your dinner breakfast, but they do offer, they have a kitchen area where they have, the bagels and whatnot.
To the chair?
Councilman Bear?
I was curious, is the owner in the current crowd to respond to the concerns that our chief of police has? And while I do realize that as you stated, it was the clientele and not the management itself, I have a hard time kind of separating. I mean, if you're the owner of the hotel, you kind of dedicate what kind of culture and what kind of policies and rules you have for any said business. So I would like to hear from the property owner himself, like, are there possible changes that he could institute, different policies to give assurances that we won't see an uptick in runs and hopefully a decrease?
Any other comments?
Through the chair. I don't know a lot about liquor licenses, to be honest. Is it something that can be given on a probationary period, or no? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
And could you answer Jason's question? Can we postpone and ask somebody?
You don't have to act today. In fact, you may want to have the applicant here because the city's had licenses in reserve. There are valid questions here, and their only appeal would then be to circuit court. You should have a proper record. So if the applicant isn't present, and I understand some recommendations are against approving the license, you have valid questions to consider, and let you know that in this type of license, the companion of food service is not an essential necessity, but the city, since it's one of the licenses from your, what do we call that thing in the old days? In our escrow, in the escrow account, the city can determine the parameters and attach conditions, and it might do you well that if there's serious consideration in giving a license to meet with management and embark on a separate agreement with them. They're not conditions for the awarding of the license, but conditions consistent with the city releasing the license from escrow. So certainly that could be paused. They're not going to open before the first of the year. And law enforcement concerns will come out now, or if there's a challenge at the Liquor Commission later. And both the chief and his department are experienced in taking liquor challenges to the commission. And as some of the more senior council members here recall, we've taken licenses away in the past for not following the conditions of the attachment. So that's something to do. So, Mayor, if there's not the willpower or the response today, I suggest that you defer to the next meeting and invite the applicant to be here. It would be a fundamental due process to allow them to appear. I mean, in the old days, a liquor license was worth $250,000. Today, they're not really worth more than a quarter, but it's just getting the license. It's not worth much, but it's getting it and having it here, so you should allow them the opportunity to appear.
Can I have a motion to defer for 2 weeks?
Just place it on the next agenda if you want to put it on the next agenda instead of tabling it. If that works with the clerk.
It's with me.
I'd rather follow strict procedures.
Okay. Then we will defer till the next meeting. The next up is the Wayne County Public Services require communities that have utilities and community right-of-ways to apply for the annual maintenance permit, make the emergency repairs in the county right-of-way, and annual pavement restoration permit, an annual permit be made. And it's my understanding this used to be 3 permits, and now they're turning it into 1 permit. And I'm going to ask, because this is legalese, so I'm going to ask Ed to step forward if he would, and I'll read this one.
Gotta read that whole thing? You guys want ketchup on it, or? No.
Prefer mustard.
He did work in a band once, didn't he?
I'm the musician's union, not the engineering union. The rest is testing. You know what?
Here, sit here.
I'm gonna sit somewhere and read it, because, do you mind if I take your chair? I don't know how the volume works on that.
It's on.
Is it on now?
Check.
No, it's not on.
Hang on.
Whereas the City of Lincoln Park hereinafter called the community periodically applies to the County of Wayne Department of Public Services Engineering Division Permit Office, hereinafter the county for permits to conduct emergency repairs and annual maintenance work and for other purposes on the local and county roads located entirely within the boundaries of the community is needed from time to time to maintain the roads in a condition reasonably safe and convenient for public travel. Whereas pursuant to Act 51 of 1951, being MCL 2473651 et sec, the county permits and regulates such activities noted above and related temporary road closures. Now therefore be it resolved in consideration of the county granting such permit, hereinafter called the permit, the community agrees and resolves that any work performed by the community by a contractor or subcontractor will be solely as contractor for the community, not as a contractor or agent for the county. Any claims by any contractor or subcontractor will be the sole responsibility of the community. The county shall not be subject to any obligations or liabilities of vendors or contractors of the community or their subcontractors. The community shall take no unlawful action or conduct which arises either directly or indirectly out of its obligations, responsibilities, and duties under the permit which results in claims being asserted against or judgment being imposed against the city of the community, county, and all officers, agents, and employees. I messed that one up. Thereof, pursuant to the maintenance contract, in the event same occurs for the purposes of the permit, it shall be considered a breach of the permit, thereby giving the county a right to seek and obtain any necessary relief or remedy, including not by way of limitation or judgment for money damages. With respect to any activities authorized by the permit or where the community requires insurance on its own or contractor's behalf, shall also require that such policy include as a named insurer the county of Wayne and all officers, agents, and employees thereof. The incorporation by the county of this resolution part of the permit does prevent the county from requiring other additional performance, security, or insurance before issuance of the permit. The resolution stipulates that the requesting community shall, at no expense to Wayne County, provide necessary police supervision, establish detours, post all necessary signs, and all other traffic control devices in accordance with Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. The resolution stipulates that the requesting community shall assume full responsibility for the cost of repairing damage done to the county road during the period of road closure or partial closure. The resolution shall continue in force from the date of the execution until canceled by the community or the county with no less than 30 days prior written notice to other party. It shall not be canceled or otherwise terminated by the community without regard to any permit which has already been issued or activity has already been undertaken. The community stipulates that it agrees to the terms of the county Wayne permit at the time permit is signed by the community's authorized representative. Be it further resolved that the individuals are authorized in their official capacity as community's authorized representative to sign and bind the community to the provisions of any and all permits applied for the county of Wayne Department of Public Services Engineering Division Permit Office for the necessary permits from time to time work within the county road right of way or local roads on behalf of the community. John Kazubo signed this pursuant to your authorization as Director of Public Services. And if you like, I can explain each paragraph if you'd like now.
Circles and arrows.
How long did that take? You need a mover to support.
So moved. I mean, I'll move.
Support.
Any questions? I'm here to answer them.
Do we have any questions? Any comments from the council? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Councilpersons Tobin?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
Soar?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. All right, the next on the agenda is the authorization of Hennessy Engineers Incorporated to proceed with a 2023 sanitary sewer investigation Phase 1. We have a study plan for $7,700, flow monitoring, $75,500, a study report, $18,200, a work plan, $15,100, with a total budget of $116,000 and $500. Be it resolved that the mayor, council hereby authorize Hennessy Engineering to provide the 2023 sanitary sewer investigation Phase 1 for a lump sum of $116,500. Be it further resolved that the mayor, council authorize the funds to be taken out of city park clean water resolving fund SRF account number 592527821 WS19.
I'll move.
Support.
And I have a question.
I have a question also.
Okay, Lillian was first.
Well, actually, I have a request. Could we have, please, the, I don't know if it's a map, but they talk about districts J and L. Could we have that?
Yeah, we can get that out to you guys.
Thank you. Then that's it.
And actually, I think Steve has one he can pass around. Oh, there you go.
All right.
Do you want to, Steve, could you send me a digital version too? Because I'll get it.
Put it on the website?
Yep.
Thank you.
We get colored pictures.
Yep.
Okay, it's all pretty and colored and everything.
I saw him with the crayons.
Here, I'll just take them and pass them along. Okay?
I believe Councilman Tobin had some questions as well.
Yeah, now that I do the map, I could probably, but this is phase 1. So each section of this map is going to be another phase?
I'll let John go ahead and provide the details.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to kind of back up just for a short period. This ACO that has been referred to, I don't know, this has been introduced to the previous mayor and council. And what is it? It's an agreed upon consent order. And this is based on our sanitary sewer system. And we've had some bypassing that we've had to do probably about the last 10 to 12 years. And that's what this is starting. This ACO, agreed upon consent order, is still in draft form. Shortly it'll be coming back before this body for acceptance. But once that comes back for acceptance, the city's already going to be behind in their flow monitoring. Now what this flow monitoring is for is to basically do other areas that have not already had flow monitoring and to see how bad our inflow and infiltration process is. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get out in front of it so that once this ACO comes back before this body, we're not already behind schedule on what has to be done. That was, again, another brief explanation. Does anybody have any added questions?
Question to the chair.
Go ahead.
Will the flow monitoring line item be there for each individual phase as laid out by the map?
That will be determined as we progress through this. This ACO is an approximate 20-year process. Right now, this particular ACO, or excuse me, inflow and infiltration is trying to target areas that have not yet been targeted, and also to go backwards a little bit and do a further investigation in some other areas. But as these results are provided to Eagle, they may redirect us to do a little bit more depending on results of what we find.
So the sections that aren't color-coded would be sections not currently anticipated to be covered by any of the phases?
Not having seen that map, I'm going to agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the areas that aren't color-coded right now aren't planned to be flow monitored.
Okay.
Any other questions? And we'll call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of a recovery ordinance from the fire department. The Lincoln Park Fire Department is requesting the approval of the ordinance to provide cost recovery following fire department incidents. This ordinance would allow the fire department to bill recovery cost in association with car accidents, car fires, structure fires, wires down, gas leaks, and false alarms. The ordinance is intended to help cost and fuel and recovery cost for equipment used during the incidents. So, resolve an ordinance to be amended Part 2, Title 2 of the codated ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park by adding Chapter 205D entitled Emergency Services Cost Recovery, be given its first and second reading by title only. The City of Lincoln Park ordinances ordains that Part 2 of the codified ordinances for the City of Lincoln Park, Title 2, Chapter 205D, entitled Emergency Services Cost Recovery, be hereby added as follows.
I'll move.
Report.
Any questions?
Point. For the sake of our listening audience and our citizens, can the chief please come up and give us a quick synopsis of what this is?
Sure, so this is cost recovery ordinance as it was written for car fires, car accidents, structure fires, and false alarms. So this is ordinance that we're trying to capture soft money from insurance companies that's already built into your car insurance and house insurance. It's not intended to go after somebody that doesn't have insurance. So, is there any other questions on this? And we would be replacing the equipment that we would use on there, for example, on diesel spills or gas. They call them pigs or pools, and they're about $250 a piece. And sometimes we can reuse them, but most times we can't.
Quick question to the chair.
Sure.
Are these common for other cities and municipalities to have?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Through the chair. We went through this not too long ago, Chief, didn't we? You had talked to us a little bit about it.
Yes, I did. I talked to it in September for my mayor and council oral report.
That's what I thought. And it's no cost to the citizen.
No, so it's already built into their car and house insurance.
Good, thank you.
Through the chair, Your Honor, if you don't mind, looks like there was a lot of work in here, but my concerns was, I did read your email in regards that you would not go after homeowners because most of them have insurance, right?
Right.
None, in this ordinance, it doesn't never say that
Right,
there's
so...
no mention of auto or home insurance at all, and what kind of scares me is if the responsible party refuses to reimburse the city and owns real estate in the city, the expenses shall be assessed against the real estate in a manner, so that kind of scares me, and I'm not sure...
I believe there's an appeals process in there,
There is.
so that way,
And
if they
what
do a
other-
hardship,
Sure. So if someone calls in a dumpster fire and, 4 minutes later the police show, or the fire department shows up and it's out, is that a false alarm? Is that the resident gets billed for that?
No. No.
What's your term for false alarm?
so a false alarm would be if we went to a business several times in a week, a year, and it's because of faulty equipment that they refuse to fix.
Okay. All right, I see some concerns. Like I said, it looks like a lot of work was put into it. I don't understand it totally, but like I said, it has no mention of insurance
Since
for auto or home. But I'll just let the vote go.
Are you done? Since we haven't done this before, who is going to be doing the billing, and can you...
So, my admin said that she could do this, or that I would look into, if it gets to be too much, look into a third party, and they would take off a percentage of what they collect.
Okay. Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chief, when do you plan to have a fee schedule before us?
At the next council meeting.
The chair, is it possible to put in what Carlos was talking about? The insurance is the one that will be billed at the individual?
May I add something, Mayor?
Sure.
I think that the same thing happens with the police, and there have been prosecutions for misuse of 911 in the past, and for false alarms and excessive false alarms when it's your house alarm, for police runs in the past, too. And then there's the emergency response attitude, too, and the burden would then be on the individual homeowner to turn it over to their carrier. I think you complicate it by saying you're going to bill for homeowners insurance first, that it's their obligation to find out who's going to pay the bill if they're the ones who are wrong. And by complicating it by requiring the city to go first to them, it's going to delay the collection process. For example, someone hits your car, you still have a duty under no fault. This is really a no-fault statute. You either pay it or your insurance company has payment. And I agree, but I've not seen in my experience in dealing with the police department, there's been an unusual abuse of prosecution or collection for this. We have charged people in the courts or through the police department in the past for misuse of either 911 or misuse of the home alarm where they can't get it to work right, and businesses too. That's for the police responding to false alarms, but it's few and far between. Nonetheless, the chief is correct. It's something they need to have on the books so someone doesn't abuse it. Be the equivalent of someone every week pulling a fire alarm just in the middle of your council meeting or during a roll call vote here. At some point, you're going to charge them for it.
To the chair?
Sure.
I did see under point 4, the last point of the appeals process, it does say that it would be appealed to us on city council within 10 business days. So that seems like that would be the final arbiter if somebody were to go all the way through the appeals process.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I noticed that, and my question is, we don't have a council meeting necessarily in 10 days. So does that just mean the request?
Yes, the appellate period, that's what it is.
Okay.
If you go to the Court of Appeals of Michigan, you appeal today, and it takes 5 years to get there, so.
I just want that for the record. Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, we will call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Salcedo?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
The next on the agenda, we have a removal of a Parks and Rec commissioner.
May I help in this, Mayor? Because it's theoretically a hearing once you call.
Yes, if you would like to step forward, go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like you to call the resolution, read it, and have it supported, move for discussion's sake, and then we'll have the city clerk place the evidence on the record to comply with the charter and ordinance requirements.
Okay. Whereas the Parks and Rec Commissioner, Jonathan Toucher, has failed to attend any meetings in the past 12 months, and whereas the commission requested Commissioner Toucher to resign his position on November 23rd, 2022, and whereas no response has been received, be it resolved that the Parks and Recreation Commissioner, John Tusher, be and is hereby removed from Parks and Recreation Commission for just cause due to his failure to attend meetings.
I'll move.
Support.
All right, Mayor, may I inquire of the clerk before council questions the evidence that brought about the presentation of this resolution? If that's right with you, Your Honor? All right.
Yes.
All right, Madam Clerk, you have kept the official records of the city, including attendance meetings for the Recreation and Parks Commission,
Yes.
and you will indicate for part of the record, which is being telephonically recorded and on cable also, that Mr. Tauscher has not appeared at meetings for how long?
Over 12 months.
All right, and that was supported by the individual comments to you by members of the commission, the chair of the commission, and the Parks and Rec director, that he has failed to fulfill his duties as appointed by the mayor and council. Is that correct?
Yes, as well as the minutes of the meeting that showed him
And-
absent.
That's right. So he's taken no action to fulfill his duties.
None.
And you had personal contact with Mr. Tauscher, is that correct?
I did.
And that was in the parking lot here in the city of Lincoln Park?
It was.
And on that date and time, would you indicate what he told you?
He told me that he didn't intend to attend any more of the meetings. He didn't want to be on that board.
He indicated to you that he would not oppose his being removed from the commission.
He did.
And he was notified today of today's meeting?
He was notified on November 23rd of today's meeting.
Right, and has he appeared this evening from what you can see?
He has not.
Has he filed any written responses?
He has not.
It's your opinion then in your submission of this to council that he's abandoned his office?
It is.
And in abandoning his office, he's failed to fill his duties as appointed to that position by the Parks and Recreation Commission ordinance. Is that correct?
It is correct.
So you're asking that council declare the office vacant and declare him removed?
I am.
Mr. Mayor, Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any questions from the council?
Through the chair, Your Honor, just briefly, I mean, after 90 days, if he didn't show up, why wasn't he removed at that point? Just
To the
general
chair. I was the former chair of the Parks and Recs Commission. We did have some difficulty making quorums for some months, and then we had meetings where we had more business than other, and it just kind of flew under the radar a little bit until it got brought back up recently, and I can certainly swear to the fact that he has not attended a meeting, like Kerry said, in over 12 months.
Thank you, that's all, Your Honor.
And I will say that all the commissions, there's times where people are sick or have issues, and we understand they are volunteers, and sometimes we work with them. But this is over and beyond what can be worked with. So with that, is there any other questions? Then we'll call for the vote.
Councilman Bear?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dupre?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that once the resolution is certified, that the city clerk forward a copy by U.S. mail to the commission, former commissioner.
Absolutely.
Is removed.
Absolutely. The next on the agenda is the action items for the City of Lincoln Park strategic plan to complete the DPS safety manual. Working with the DPS leadership team, we have completed the final and draft document, and it's quite extensive, but something that I've found long overdue, I will say. Whereas the city is committed to the safety of our employees, and the safety manual has been drafted for the DPS, be resolved, the mayor and council approve the DPS safety manual and authorize its distribution to the DPS employees.
I'll move.
Support.
Question?
Any questions?
Question to the chair.
Yes.
I just like to say I see this as a great development. I do work in the health, safety, and environment field as a chemist at my work. I am 40-hour OSHA HAZWOPER certified, so I know how important a safety program is. It takes a very small investment, and we will be paid back many times more by reduction of lost man hours, reduce or restricted days, restricted duty days. I was here when we had the DPS study session, and I don't remember the exact numbers what a city manager said then as far as lost man hours and restricted days, but they seemed alarmingly high to me, and a program like this is designed to bring those numbers drastically down, which will definitely benefit our workers. Our safety of our workers should always be of paramount importance, and reducing those types of accidents will help our DPS serve our work more efficiently and be able to put their attention to the great work they do in the city, as we all saw this weekend with the water main break. And I did review the program pretty well, and it is very thoughtful and extensive, and I look forward to seeing it implemented. That's all.
Does anybody else have anything?
Just a quick comment, Your Honor. We just have a correction for a city on page 33, and I'm good.
Yep, it's already been made.
Oh, good.
Through the chair, Your Honor, I have a question and then a comment. And does this line up with the CBA? There's no intermingling or no
there's no,
contractual issue with
management
from
gets
the
to,
workforce?
management can establish work rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one rule I wish you would change, if you don't mind, I'll read the question. It says, "An employee shall immediately report unsafe conditions, defective equipment, and other situation that they judge to be unsafe to the supervisor." This is on page 4. And the city manager or the DPS representative. Additionally, safe conditions may also be reported to recognize safe practices. The safe, unsafe condition form is to be filled out at this time. And then it says, please follow the following steps, right? It says employee must fill out the section of the form, employee must turn over the form to the supervisor, department director, or the city manager. And then it says within 5 days of receiving the form, the supervisor is to investigate the situation, fill out their section, plan on reporting employee. I would hope that within 24 hours that someone would get back with somebody if it was a serious situation instead of 5 days. And I know you may say, well, it depends on the severity of the situation, but I think all safety issues should be brought up immediately. And I think 24 hours is doable, rather than 5 days.
I think the 5 days is in there to do a full investigation for those issues warranted. I think we can certainly set a goal of coming to some kind of conclusion within 24 hours, but I'd hate to tie the hands of the supervisors if it's an issue that we might need to investigate more or need to research more.
And my concern would be if someone brought that up and 2 days later nothing happens, and then something happens, then you're going to say, well, I had 5 days to report it. So that's just a suggestion. It was a lot of work. It's very extensive, very lot of reading. Some of it's redundant, but I'm surprised this wasn't in place years ago. So I'm all for it, though. Thank you.
I absolutely think this is something that should have been done years ago. And I also want to thank the city manager's work on this, and I also want to thank, because we had the DPS guys actually sat down and did this and helped us do this, and I want to thank them. It's their own good, but it's also something, that had to be done, and thank you, everybody involved. And with that, I will call for the vote.
Councilpersons Bear,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
Zor,
Yes.
and Mayor Higgins.
Yes. And next on the agenda will be the extending of the planning service agreement with Beckett and Rader. The city agreement with Beckett and Rader as needed planning services is set to expire at the end of the year. In anticipation of this, Beckett and Rader was asked to provide proposal for another one-year agreement. Notably proposed does have some small increases and redefines various roles, including a senior associate and senior project manager. Comparing last year's agreement, this year shows increase in various roles and approximately $5 per hour. Okay, and notably, this contract has been in place, or we've been working with Beck and Rader since 2018. Were it resolved that the city requires the services of a certified planner, be it resolved that the mayor and the city council approve of a one-year agreement with Becker and Rader for a needed planning services, be it further resolved that the mayor authorize execute the agreement.
I'll move.
Support.
Questions from the council?
I just, on the first page, it says approximately $5 per hour. And when you look at the comparison, it's like $15 per hour, not $5 per hour.
Okay, and some of the rules were more, some were the same, some were, yep.
But that's all.
Anybody else?
Through the chair, Your Honor, if you don't mind. And, I know we've been talking about trying to get a city planner in here, right? Knowing that this contract was going to expire and they're raising the rates, would it have been reasonable to put it up for bid instead of, only because of the increase?
Right, and if we still want to put it out to bid, we can do that. This contract gives us an opportunity to get out. The nice part about this contract is, number one, it's as needed. So if we don't need them, we don't pay them. Number two, there are outs in it. And number three, again, because it's as needed, as we are looking to go to an in-house planner, it gives us that flexibility for a better transition. But we could, essentially, if we wanted to, go out to bid, approve this, go out to bid, and then let them know what we're doing.
All right, well, thank you. Since there's an out, and you're still trying to hire an in-house planner, right?
Yes,
All right.
yeah, that is the goal. Unfortunately, it's been kind of
I got you. Thank
pushed
you.
aside at times.
Any other comments from the council? And we'll call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Dupre? Yes. Bear?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Okay, the next is claims payable for anything over $25,000. We have DTE, $80,454.33. Bendinsky Corporation, $31,222.50. DUWA, $275,137.53. GFL Cement, $130,387.73. GLWA, $218,905.17. Hutch Paving, $117,185.45. Limb Walkers, $29,977. Miller, Candid, and Paddock, $42,500. $42,500, sorry. National Faith Home Buyers, $31,998. National Fitness Campaign, $56,865. Plant Moran, $25,000. Safeway Transport, $82,614.42. And Strata Underground, $102,507.69.
I will move.
Or,
Excuse me.
Yeah, I do have a question on National Fitness Equipment. Weren't we going to get reimbursed for that? Is that from us or from the DDA?
That likely was a payment from the DDA fund, but it shows up on this because it's written through our, we provide the financial accounting services, so.
Just double checking.
Yep.
Okay. And any other questions? Call for the vote.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Tobin?
yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. With that, we will move on to City Manager's report.
All right, thank you. Just a couple of items for tonight. We talked about the water main break over the weekend, and, we, of course, throw credit to John Kazoo and Steve, but I also want to, I want to take some time to acknowledge our supervisors, Chris and Tony, our two Justins who were out all weekend, one of our guys from sewer, Ron, who was out all weekend. We had an open hole during this process. So we had guys on site overnight taking a look, making sure nothing bad happened. So there was a lot of hands on deck, and everybody did a fantastic job. So I wanted to just kind of acknowledge that as well. Just a quick reminder, holidays are here. City Hall and city offices are closed Friday this week. Monday next week, and then also again Friday and Monday over the New Year holiday. But in your packet, I put together a nice little written report, a quick update. You know, I'm trying to do these on a quarterly basis. 2 weeks later than I wanted to this time. I'll try and hit the first meeting in February next time, but I just wanted to give a quick update on where things are standing on a lot of the projects, and you know, for our new council members, a good chance to take a look at what we're working on here. So the first time I presented this back in September, we had a fair amount of the orange color in the tracker, a fair amount of red still in the tracker, not a ton of green, a little bit of yellow. But you'll notice this time, over this quarter, we've had a lot more projects moving forward. And some of these projects are kind of ongoing items, and they're going to almost always be in the yellow, but they're there as a reminder for us to continue pushing forward. Couple highlights I do want to point out. You know, at the beginning of, you know, right as we were doing this, the Sears building sold. So some of the original action steps are kind of starting to fall off, because as we're working with the developer, we're finding they're not really looking at doing a PUD. And we had some stuff talking about, for those who aren't aware, planned unit development, which is almost something that you can do that's outside of the general normal scope of a zoning ordinance, but the plan has to be approved by this body here. So it allows for a lot of different things that you wouldn't see typically through our traditional zoning. So you could see the mixed use type of stuff with, you could see housing with commercial, retail, restaurants, all of that on the same site, typically done during a larger development. But they're very interested in more of a traditional development than the PUD. So we had some action steps on there that we've moved because they're not relevant anymore. Some of the infrastructure projects around city buildings are starting to finally take shape. The City Hall window project not only has been awarded, but has actually started, and we're expecting to have completion probably just after the holidays now. They did a trial run on a couple windows, and I think it went pretty well, so it should give them a good opportunity to build the schedule. We've awarded the generator and electrical upgrade project. Animal shelter and PD upgrades are currently out for bid and should be opened early in the new year. DPS safety manual, just approved it tonight, so that one's in the green and we can move on. Parks and Rec master plan, we've got the public review period to set begin next month. We've got the public hearing coming. Something else that isn't really reflected on this written report, but I've been having a lot of conversations with Dennis and Austin in Parks and Rec, and they've got a lot of really good ideas for some new programming. Some stuff they were starting to do right before the pandemic happened. The pandemic shut a lot of things down, and so we're finally starting to get back to building some stuff there. So overall, you know, we're not looking for substantial completion at this point. We're 6 months into what was planned to be an 18-month program, but what we are looking for is progress, and we have that, and the team around here, though small, is extremely mighty and doing a great job moving forward with stuff. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have on, you know, what I've presented tonight or in the written report, for sure.
Through the chair.
Brilliant.
Are we behind on the auditing?
So we're not exactly behind on the auditing. The audit report is behind, but
Okay.
We're in fine shape. Everything's
Okay.
going to be filed on time. We're looking, they had some issues finishing the report to be able to get it to you early enough ahead of having the presentation. So we're aiming for a January presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
To the chair, I believe you were asked last meeting, any further update on the Jumps Adventure business in the old JCPenney?
So, yeah, this was something I started getting phone calls from reporters before I really knew anything was going on. But I think they're getting pretty close. I think they've got 2 more substantial items to complete, according to my conversation this afternoon. And once they've got that done, they should be ready to go. So
Thank
hopefully
you.
soon.
To the chair, do you have any updates for 1574 Ford Street? That one that was bought and supposedly ran out of time now? I haven't turned anything in, or have they?
I do not have an update on that. They were, I've got nothing. I'm looking at John, he's giving me the big goose egg. So I think their time's probably coming close. They had 6 months from when they bought it.
No, they had 60 days.
60 days.
To process a certificate or a bond for demolition based on the price set by the building official. And then they had a set of drawings to be submitted as a proposed interior design by set drawings, at least contracted by an architect within a 60-day as new owners. What we had to do is wait for the new ownership to go through, and that time has elapsed.
And are we currently aren't advertising for a city planner, correct?
Yeah, we haven't put together the job description, the entire advertisement yet. We haven't, it's not out yet. We still got to deal with some of the stuff,
All right.
some of the background.
Anything else from the council?
Through the chair, Your Honor, I'll make it brief. First off, thanks, James, for your strategic plan update, very extensive, and the city is moving forward on a lot of the issues. Second off, and I'll kind of phrase this in a good way, historically, council was getting emails in regards to water main breaks, which was very helpful, at least to me, when I'd get a call from Mary and saying, why do I have no water pressure? And I said, well, I just got an email from the DPS that says there's a water main break and the water pressure is going to be low. Well, that seemed to have stopped. And this weekend was a good example because I don't know about your phones and people knocking on my door, there's no water pressure, what's going on? I was actually in the Thumb area and I'm getting these phone calls Saturday morning. And I ended up calling some people and finally I got into a loop of the situation and then I was in contact with the DPS worker over the weekend. He kept me in the loop, and then you put out some memos also, but what I'm trying to get at is, I appreciate when I got those emails from the DPS in regards to water main breaks, so if you could instill that practice, I'm for it. I don't know how my colleagues feel.
Point to my chairperson here. I wanted to let you know, I did receive the emails right away, the updates, followed it on Facebook, everything was moving along. So, I mean, wherever it was lacking, I don't know what happened, but I will say that there was a good amount of information right away.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Communication does need to funnel through me in order to make sure everybody's getting the same communication, the same information. That way we're not, because I was seeing so much false information out on Facebook, and there wasn't anybody here, right? But there's so much false information that gets into the rumor mill. If there's at least one point person, typically it really helps. And I think it's important that information on these come from myself or the DPS liaison. Otherwise, what's the point of having the liaison position as well? That's a very, getting information out to the colleagues makes sense, right? I was trying to keep everybody up to date. Turned out I was having an issue with my email and my phone, and it wasn't going through all day Saturday, so I was sending emails into apparently nowhere. But again, if you guys are getting these kinds of calls and you don't know what's going on, you know where to find me. You can always call me. You can always send me an email. Because I didn't even know you guys weren't getting emails until late at night when I saw emails starting to come around, and I sent a personal text message saying, are you guys going to get my emails? So I think that's the way this whole system of government, this form of government is intended to work. And that's, I think, why you're not getting each individual water main break email as well.
That's fine.
I think at and a normal water main break, if there's such a thing as a normal water main break, that would be fine, but in a water main break like that we just threw, I think the council and should all be informed, because this hit the entire, or quite a bit of the town, and it was everywhere, and we need to know. So I would recommend that, and from now on, that everybody knows when we have a big one like this.
Well, and you did.
There's a difference.
And you did.
Yeah.
I emailed you guys right away.
All right.
Through the chair.
And you were having problems with your emails, which explains why we didn't get everything.
Right,
But I'm
right.
just, stressing that that's this way I would like to be done.
If I could make a recommendation, because water, no matter whether it was throughout the city or a little section of the city, water is a necessity, right? So any information, I think, is good. And I know that I had a couple residents appreciate the nixles, but that only came, I think, once,
Right.
So we have to keep all that tools of information going. And whether it's, again, a small one or a big one, I think, I know I would like to know.
Through the chair, real quick. The Nixle, I didn't get it. Maureen and I were looking at our phones. Neither one of us got a Nixle alert. So there's something up with that.
And through the chair, I think it would be a good time now to send out another thing for people to sign up for Nixle. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
I believe it comes out in the happenings. There's a little square in the happenings with the Nixle. But I know when I had somebody that said, how are you letting people know? And I said, Facebook and the city website and Nixle, and a lot of people didn't know what Nixle was, so I put the link on there for them. But I think it would be a good idea to do a group out there, a group send, so people know and can sign up. But again, Tracy didn't get it, I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either.
Didn't get it either?
No.
That's why we should use every tool that we
Right,
have.
right.
Right.
I mean, even using the electronic signs, if you can do it remotely. Honestly, I know all of us, some of the calls and some of the messages that I got are very understandable, but very upsetting and not polite in the least bit. And when you don't hear anything and 10 hours go by and you can't give any more information out, it's really hard to make people understand that we're in the same boat you are, and I don't have anything to give you. So, that would be a good way to communicate, is if we got more response, or even a response that nothing's changed yet, but we're still working. But we want to hear it from you before we reply, because none of us want to go out there and say something that might be wrong,
Right.
and miss.
Well, and if you are getting inundated and you don't have more information, typically it's because there isn't more information. And again, just call me. I'll confirm that.
Okay.
Sometimes we're doing so many different things, we can't just stop to send an email saying there's nothing new, right? So if you are getting inundated, give me a call.
Okay. I did have a question. I checked the city website today on employees and jobs that are open in the city, and I only found 2 on the city, a police officer and a fireman. I know we have other openings in the city, and why aren't they on there? And we've asked before, where are we posting these jobs at? Can you give me an update?
So the job postings on the website do expire and we have to repost them. That's probably what's happened, that they came down. When they get posted on the website, it gets pushed to so many different job sites, Indeed, all sorts of different places that our system is set up to push it to. We also often will highlight a job that's posted on the Facebook page.
Could you give me a list of where that website's sending to and have that to the council, because several have asked?
Sure.
Where we are advertising.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for the council? Okay. Then we will move on to our department head, and this week we have our library director.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There's not a whole lot that is new since the last time I was here. The one major development was starting November 1st, the Lincoln Park Library became a fine-free library. And that's been a trend across the country with the public libraries because studies have shown that overdue fines are not really a deterrent to items going overdue. But what does happen is it prevents people, especially lower income people, from coming back and using the library because they don't have the money to pay the $10 or $5 or however much they owe. So now, instead of the overdue fees, there's no fees for the books or other library items going overdue. Instead, after 6 weeks of being out, people are sent a bill for the item, but if it's returned, it is removed from their record. So really what we're trying to do is make sure more of our items are being returned, and then also to increase library usage. Most of the libraries in the southeastern Michigan area are now fine-free libraries. We're accepting donations again for the Friends of the Library book sale in the spring. The Friends have not set a date yet, but that's usually happens in April. So we have a large donation bin in our lobby where we can accept items. And at the beginning of next year, we should be back to full programming as we had before COVID. We have a number of children's programs. Our children's librarian has been doing a great job of having story times and movie nights on a regular basis throughout the year. And next year's theme for the summer reading program nationally is all together now. And so that will be a focus on books about friendship. But that's about it, unless there are any questions.
Thank you very much. If you would hang out in case there's anybody from the audience that wants to ask anything.
Sure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's now time for citizens' communications. If anybody would like to address the city council, come on forward.
Excuse me, Ron Warden, Abbott Avenue, Lincoln Park. Just 2 notes. You asked for comments on the replacement of the windows on the senior center. It didn't occur to me later that if you're making them to be opened, it'll make the senior center more vulnerable. So there should be upgrades in security such as locks or alarms, and that should be included in the cost of the installation of the new windows. Second, these water main breaks, if there's any change in water quality that the public should be noted, is there a system to notify them?
Yeah, there are contingency plans on how to put out the information if there is an issue with water and it requires a boil water advisory.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Would anybody else like to address this body? Seeing none, I'll move on to oral reports of the council. We'll start with our council president.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make it brief. First off, once again, hats off to the DPS Water Department for this weekend. I know it was a long, cold weekend, and I just can't thank them enough. And I did have some calls today that a lot of the residents were okay with how it happened. They knew they were working hard, so I just want to reaffirm that we're thinking about the DPS. Second off, thank you, Clerk Kara, for explaining the clearing up the ink and Sharpie items on the ballots. That was very informative. I wish the gentleman would have been here for that, but hopefully he was watching. And lastly, happy holidays, everybody, and have a happy new year, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dupre?
I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please stay safe and warm and enjoy. Thank you.
Councilman Tobin?
Well, I want to thank the DPS for all the hard work in the cold weather. Tony and Chris really ran that crew great. They did a wonderful job, and we are lucky to have them. So thank you, DPS. There's a big storm coming this weekend, so we're going to have a white Christmas. Everybody stay safe. First big snow of the year, that's always kind of scary. The end of January, January 27th and 28th, Parks and Recreation is putting on the Jack Frost Jamboree. It will consist of 33 vendors and crafters, food. There will be a cardboard sled race that I challenge everybody to come out and see if you can beat the Lincoln Park Excel Club, because they're kind of hard to beat. So when you're home and you're snowed in and you've got nothing to do, build a sled with your kids and come on out and have some fun. There will be DJ Keo there Friday night spinning some tunes for us, and on Saturday acoustics from a couple of the guys from LC Banks, and musicians are welcome to come in. Other than that, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Councilman Ross?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to thank Mr. Kazoo and DPS. What you guys may not know is that Mr. Kazoo is actually on vacation. So I really appreciate your dedication to us. I know that, Mayor, you mentioned earlier, shop the museum for those last-minute Christmas gifts. I think they would be something unique and for someone who is hard to buy for. Don't forget that they have the historical book, they have posters, yes, we still have some posters, and then, of course, they're already taking orders for the brick pavers, so that would be a nice Christmas gift. The Historical Society is also planning their invasion of the Saucermen film screening. That is Saturday, January 21st, 2023, at the Lincoln Park Bandshell. Doors open at 5:30 with the show to start at 6. There is an alien costume contest, and there will be prizes. And I just wanted to remind you, too, that we do have some household hazardous waste collection vouchers, and they look like this. So you don't have to wait for the collection day to turn in your Wayne County household hazardous waste, but you do have to have this voucher to go to their Livonia Environmental Recycling Center. So that's available to you. And I think that's, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone here, and of course, everyone at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bear.
I would also like to thank DPS for their work over the weekend. I am looking forward to being the liaison for the DPS as well. And just like everyone else has said, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, stay safe, enjoy your time with family and friends, and be thankful for what we all have. That's all.
And Councilman Zor.
I'd just like to say happy holiday to everybody. Thank you to all the department heads that answer questions when I ask them. Truly appreciate it. I've all been, everybody's opened their door when I've asked questions, so I truly appreciate that. Our department heads are the best. Thank you.
And again, I just passed the word on. Thank you very much to DPS this weekend. They did an outstanding job with very, very hard circumstances. And I, of course, want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'd like to remind everybody that at the Lincoln Park Moose on New Year's Eve, they are doing a fundraiser for the Memorial Day Parade. The Detroit Doors are playing at the Moose, and doors will open at 7 o'clock. And it is the traditional penny drop, so we will have a giant light-up penny that will go off at midnight, and come out and have a good time. And with that, I ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Call for the vote.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes.